I want to really quick, I already did this, but this is a 2016 Nissan Maxima, which I bought coilovers for. I'm not exactly a mechanic, so I'm not an expert at this. It's my first time dealing with this. So it's already done. Everything's already adjusted the way I think is going to be working properly right now. Still got to do some testing, drive it and whatnot, but I installed these coilovers. I already, like I said, it's done, but I at least want to explain to you the way I did it, that you don't have as much trouble as much as I did when installing these for the first time, doing yourself and trying to save some money for it. Okay, so basically, the old strut that was on here, you have your sway bar link right here. The original strut looks a little bit different. I have it in the garage, but basically there's a bracket here, and then there's a bracket for your brake line right here coming out from the rear. This kit that I bought came with this bracket, but it was missing the one for this ABS line. But I used some zip ties just to hold it down, because I didn't exactly, like I said, have the bracket or anything. The other bracket was supposed to come out through here, so it was supposed to go in through here and out this way. But never mind that, I use zip ties. Just make sure to give it some slack. That way it won't rub on your wheel whenever you're driving, and when you're churn it has enough slack. I just try to figure out enough slack from here and here on this side. Like I said, sway bar right here. So the first thing I did was loosen the sway bar. So I loosened this link. It's there's a you would have to use a wrench for here, or unless you have like a power tool or something, then take it off just with a power tool. Take it off from here, it'll come right off. On the old one, you can just push it back and it'll swing this way. And then after that, undo this one and this one, and unclip the lines. It's gonna be a clip like this one back here, but coming off this way. Just unclip it. You can use a screwdriver to do it. Make sure it's a flathead. So once those two are done and you did the sway bar link, now these, you have to undo these and these. The old one, or the old strut, basically had like little clips right here. You might have some trouble taking it off because of the tension and everything. Once you unscrew the top screws right up here, the other ones were going down that way. So once you undo them, you might have some trouble. So what you got to do is use something and undo the old clips that were here. So they were kind of like hugging this. You undo them and the strut will just fall right out. So once the strut falls out, you can take it out. This will stay in place mostly. It'll fall just a little bit. So what you want to do next is once you put in the new coilover, so you swing it up, you want to make sure that the camber plate, in this specific model, the camber plate, you want it to be facing the out, because if you want to do some camber on it, obviously you'd adjust it, but mostly it already comes just plug and play. You put it on there, it's already at 0, unless you're looking for positive or negative camber, and then you mess with it before you install it, which in this case I didn't. So I just put it in just the way it was and screwed it in there. This is for the dampening. Clockwise is soft, counterclockwise will be harder. So that you can do later on once all this is installed. So like I said, camber plate, make sure it's this way, on the proper way. Put it inside, up, torque it down a little bit just so it won't move. In my case, this sway bar link was low for the bracket, so this was all the way up here, right? And the sway bar wouldn't link up to it because it was right here, and the bracket was up here, the hole. So what I had to do is unscrew, if it's partly if it's in part screw, sometimes it might not go all the way. In this case, my coilover is screwed like all the way down here mostly, so I had to unscrew it down so it would fit the sway bar link, right? So once I did it, once it was in, I tightened it down, tightened this down, and tightened this down, and also put in the bracket there. Kind of had to bend it just so it'll fit this. Make sure the line is in clearance of the wheel. You don't want it rubbing. So this, the sway bar. But my mistake was I messed with the preload, right? I didn't read the instructions. They were a little bit unclear in my opinion, but that's just me. So like I said, I messed with the preload. I pushed this all the way down because like I said, I had to unscrew this one. So this was all the way down here basically. And so I had all of this of screw and the thing was here. So, and the car wasn't loaded. So what I did then was mess with the preload, and I screwed it all the way down here. But happened to come when I dropped the car, basically the shock absorber was pushed down all the way, so I had so much tension. It was this one and the next one. So what I did, the measurements, you want to make sure you have the right measurements. I had just an approximation. I had a measuring tape, and I measured it more or less. That we wanted to have everything as even as you can on this side and the next for the front. So I messed, like I said, I messed with this and I messed with this. I messed it up. So my car for the past like 2 days was super bouncy. It was like unbearable to drive my car. But I knew I did something wrong. I wasn't sure what. Like I said, it was my first time. So I called up the manufacturer and I asked them, hey, you know what? I did this and I did this. What's wrong? Explain it to me. So they were very nice and they helped me out. And so what happened is they told me the right measurements, and they told me how to do it and then how to adjust the preload. So the way it is done is basically what you want to do is loosen this bottom one down so that this one can have some play. And what you want to do is, or at least what I did, is I measured the length of the spring from top to bottom, which in my case was 7 inches. And my manufacturer told me that I needed to give it 3 to 5 millimeters of tension. So I had to shorten it 5 millimeters at most. So what I did is reverse what I had done wrong, which was scroll this all the way down here. So I put it back to the top where this was touching here, the top, or I forgot the stopper. We'll call it the stopper. I forgot the name of it. So basically, the stopper was touching the spring, but it was no tension at all. Like I could move it a little bit. And so like I screwed it up to where it was, right? So what I did from there is I grabbed this one and I screwed it all the way back up. Not tightened it, but just so that it won't be no play. So then I had to buy a micrometer and I started screwing it, and I measured the distance of 5 millimeters. And from there I moved this one back up, and then you tighten it there. And that was, in my case, the right preload for this spring exactly. So then what I did from there, the way to adjust the height is once these two are tightened, you want to loosen this one to the desired height. So that'd be the distance between the desired height. Remember, this is all the way down here. Only the nut was over here, or was screwed it up, like I said. And then what you want to do, once you have it at the desired height, distance between one another, you want to grab the wrench that they provide you. In my case, they provided me with the tools to adjust these two nuts, and so I once you do it, it'll move the whole strut. This will not move anymore. It'll literally be the whole thing screwing up until this met this, and then I made sure that it was the right measurement that I wanted, and then you tightened it, and that was pretty much it. So once you install it, what I did is, like I said, tighten this, make sure the lines were correct, and then adjust it. And that's pretty much it. If the car is too low, once you pull it down, all you gotta do to adjust the height, like I said, is try not to ever touch the preload. Do not touch the preload. If once you take out the stock, if the sway bar is too low, everything's too low, you will have to unscrew this down. Do not touch the preload, unscrew this. Once you have adjusted or tightened down everything that you need to tighten down, then adjust it the way I told you, which was loosening this, bring it up, and then with the wrench go either clockwise or counterclockwise to lower it, and this will not move. The whole strut will move. The coilover will move all the way up to where you want it to be. And then after that, you just tighten it down, make sure everything's nice and tightened down, and that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoy the video. If it's helpful, let me know if you have any questions. If you could leave a like if it was helpful, leave a comment, like I said, for any questions, and please subscribe. Thank you.